Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Connection with the Weekly Comic Book Roundup. We've covered all this week's Marvel books as well as a few of DC's offerings for the week and the new issue of Magic the Gathering. Now, I'm going to wrap things up with this week's Batman books, as well as a prologue tie-in to Black Adam. The upcoming Black Adam movie, not the just started Black Adam comic. Kicking things off, we've got Batman number 125. Kicking off Chip Zdarsky's run on The Dark Knight. And I gotta say, I like the fact that apparently Zdarsky is not under exclusive contract with Marvel because he's also got a new Daredevil book coming, so yeah. I kind of like that I'm going to read him writing both Batman and Daredevil. So, Shadow War, Abyss, and various other issue things have happened. So we begin with a flashback to another time with an alarm going off and in the cave, and Alfred stepping through, and the next page is three Jokers standing over the dead bodies of Tim, Dick, Damian, and Selina, telling Bruce to wake up. And so Bruce does. He calls Selina, calls and asks if everything is alright. She says she's good, keeping busy. Though, as they talk, Valmont enters Selina's room, having just made explaining he just made coffee. Apparently there's a murderer going after the city's wealthy residents. That night there's a hostage situation. Batman intervenes. Further investigation, he finds two dead bodies. After having thrown the killer out the window, Batman pulls him back in, wanting to know who sent him to commit the murders. This question is promptly answered. It's the Penguin, taking some liberties with his own history. And, he's like the people of Gotham. He earned what he has. Scraped and crawled, hacked and slashed for his piece of the pie. And he explains he's going to kill anyone in Gotham who has inherited over $5 million, unless they give that money away to the people of the city. If they die and their family inherits the money, they'll kill the family. But turns out one of the victims, the man was Colin Fitzroy. In fact, the victims were Colin and Clara Fitzroy. Colin being an old friend of Bruce's, who admittedly, Bruce admits he did kind of use to basically keep up the billionaire Playboy facade. But Tim comes to see Bruce about this, offering his condolences. But Batman's ruminating over the Penguin, who, after watching the Penguin's message, as the Penguin was born into his wealth. But Batman knows where the Penguin will strike next. The Flugelheim Gala. And so Bruce attends. And Tim is there to back him up, with Bruce commenting to himself that Tim's a good man and a good Robin. Another reason why Tim, it's worth mentioning, another reason Tim came by to see Bruce was not just because of Colin Fitzroy's death, but also just because some of the members of the Bat family have been talking, and it seems that since Bruce lost his money, he hasn't really been, lost his fortune, he really hasn't been going out as Bruce Wayne as much. So, but Penguins wired the building with gas, and Tim's put in a neutralizing agent, and the Penguin takes the stage and welcomes everyone and starts a gas attack. However, the gas has been neutralized. Bruce makes a quick change into being Batman, takes down the Penguin's thugs, as does Robin. But Penguin is really to actually be Clayface. Batman explains that the last time he and Clayface met, Batman injected Clayface with a formula he'd been working on to turn his clay into something more explosive. Robin is trying to get the doors open so that everyone can get out, as there's also a bomb in the building too. While he's doing this, however, one of the Penguin's henchmen shoots Robin, hitting him in the neck. The doors are open, and Bruce takes Robin to the hospital, doing what he can to at least get him out of the Robin costume, much as he did with Jason Todd. Turns out, though, that Penguin is also hospitalized. She's dying, mercury poisoning. Batman accuses Penguin of killing good people like Colin Fitzroy, though Penguin says that Fitzroy was the worst of them. He gambled at the Iceberg, pawing at women, insulting the staff. With Penguin stating that Batman saw it a touch. Him dressing like a bat, and he dresses like a bat, and it's still not the most out of touch thing about him. But Penguin then calls a nurse and takes a presumably cyanide pill. The nurse sees Batman leaving as she finds Penguin dead. He returns to the garage, and Barbara checks up on him, explain with the whole Batman's a murderer talk, he's fine. Though he actually admits to himself he's not. But Penguin grossly overestimated the damage that it would cause. If anything, it's helped. Criminals are more scared, and crime is down. And he realizes he's lost. In the Batcave, a device pops up, and a robot identifying itself as Failsafe, pops out of it, stating Failsafe is online. In our backup story, let's see, let's do the whole, which is Two Birds, One Throne, focusing on Catwoman. At the Iceberg Lounge, shortly after Penguin's death, the iceberg is still open and being run. Finbar Sullivan has decided he's going to claim the lounge for himself. However, Catwoman jumps in to stop him. However, Miss Hasegawa of the local Yakuza also is laying claim on the lounge. When the underbroker shows up with the executor with him. Turns out the executor handles the wills of some of Underbroker's clients, including the late Oswald Cobblepot. Apparently, Cobblepot procured their services to make sure that his wishes were followed in regards to his properties in the event of his death. Sullivan makes a bit of a fuss about things, but is quickly cowed by the executor, who explains that he executes more than just documents. And so it's explained that the will is to be read in 7 days at a location that will be shared with those who need to know. Catwoman leaves, and upon getting home, and thinking about everything going on in her life, the executor shows up at her door, wanting to speak to her, and in fact wanting to hire her services, as he's not sure he'll be able to find the people enumerated in the Penguin's will. Selena says she's not a bounty hunter, but and he explains that funds were set aside for ensuring that those in the will are informed of at the very least informed of the will's reading, and the executor offers her the funds for those funds, $500,000, and 10 people that she needs to find, and just tell them when and where of the will reading are Cobblepot's children, and that is where the issue ends. So, concerning the A story, overall, I liked it. I kind of feel, I do have to admit, I kind of feel like the whole Selena and Valmont thing, it doesn't feel entirely out of left field, but it also feels like it kind of, I feel like it kind of goes against what T. Howard is establishing for the relationship between the two characters in her current run on Catwoman. But it could just be a bias on my part from being overly fond of the Bat Cat dynamic. The backup story, I love the fact that it's picking up off of the events in this particular issue, namely the death of the Penguin, which I gotta say that's a bold move, very bold move. But yeah, overall, good solid start to Zdarsky's run on Batman. Looking forward to reading more. Moving on to our next book, we've got Poison Ivy #2. Where we left off, Poison Ivy had left Gotham and was basically trying to save the world in her own way, and as well as racking up a body count. So I'd have to reread the first issue, but it seemed, from what I can tell, the narration on Ivy's part is actually a letter that she's composing to Harley Quinn. This issue begins with her stating that she loves the world, every root and seed, and every little pollinating insect, and she loves Harley. It's just those are the only two things that that Ivy loves. One very big, the other very small. But she stops in a diner, kind of nodded off, and brought some food, and dispels. Apparently, sometimes people will ask Ivy if she's a vegetarian, which she feels is the stupidest possible question. Explaining that she explains how environmentally catastrophic modern agave farming is. To note, in nature, agave plants are pollinated by long-nosed bats. Making agave syrup for rich vegans requires killing thousands of mature agave plants at a time. In order to grow the plants quickly, farmers use sterile offshoots that produce no flowers. Without flowering plants, the long-nosed bats die off. The ecosystem loses a crucial pollinator. Monoculture destroys the soil. Even the genetic makeup of the agave plants degrades, leaving them open to blight and infection. None of this stops vegetarians from buying that murder syrup by the quart, or from feeling like they really did something by giving up chicken. As this is being explained, we see her killing an agave farmer. While she's at the diner, however, a young woman sits down across from her. Every other seat's taken. She's looking for work. Jenny introduces her. The young woman introduces herself as Jenny. Jenny's a poet, very interested in Norse mythology, the Vikings and whatnot. Started a poem about, but only got 2 lines in. The 2 lines being, their arms, scaled in lichen, reaching out to claw back the indifferent sky. That's all she could get, though. And she explains she wants to get the rune of the ancestor tree as a tattoo. The rune of the ancestor tree is something that Ivy's seen before in the realm of the Green Man. Then the police. Well, it turns out that Ivy's letting Lamia spores out in the diner, and but rather than setting them off immediately, she's letting them wait, which she explains is a mercy. Then police show up. And both Pam and Jenny have the same reaction. They found me. And then they stop and they found you. And so turns out that Jenny may have committed this one teeny tiny wire fraud using a computer at the library. So the diner is evacuated. Ivy suggests that Jenny follow her lead, and so she lets out some of the spores to the cops, activating them immediately. She then leaves, and she hears something and sees the rune painted on the wall of the diner. When she gets back into her van, she's starting to wonder. She thinks someone may have rearranged the plants a little bit in her van. And there's a flashback to a short while ago in Eden, her talking with the gardener. Gardener accusing her of not being happy with what she can currently do. But Ivy stating that, yeah, she's not, because she remembers what it feels like to be a god. She drives off, opting to lay very low for a while. And she states that she misses Harley, pulls into a motel, and says that she wishes Harley were with her here at the end of the world. And that is where the issue ends. I am liking the Poison Ivy series thus far. I've got to see who did this variant cover. Okay, then not entirely certain then. Oh well. It looks rather Magnolia-esque, so. But anyway, moving on to our next book, we've got Batman Killing Time, number 5. Where we left off, Batman and the Help were tracking down apparently the Eye of God, which had been stolen by Catwoman and Riddler. The idea was to sell the eye to a government operative, but that fell through, courtesy of the Help. So the issue begins, apparently on March 7th, around shortly before 6 a.m., a massive fight seems to break out between Gotham henchmen and government agents. A fight that leaves many on both sides dead. Some killed by members of the opposing side. Some killed simply by members of the same side. At one point, a man who remains unidentified kills 33 federal agents and 26 goons by firing gleefully into the crowd. Most witnesses describe it as a Joker goon, though it is possible that it is in fact the Joker himself, but our narrator cannot confirm that. Then goes back to the previous night, with Catwoman and Riddler have taken a family hostage, and Riddler calls his contact within the government about trying to once again sell the eye to her. She agrees, but makes a backup plan to not pay for it, just get it. Around the same, shortly thereafter, at the Iceberg Lounge, an army of Gotham goons showed up. Afterwards, one of them is outside texting, and one of the staff members of the Iceberg Lounge shoots him. Apparently, the rules were no phones. The guy claims before he's shot that he's just texting his girl. You know, they're going to be out all night. She'd call people if he didn't text. He was actually texting Batman, who explains to the help that he's got an update. There's then a flashback to May 5th of 404 BC. The priestess of Athena stands on the beach in front of Arslan Gallipoli, the Spartan general, offering it, and she gives him the eye. Helicopter is loaded up with troops. And 3 buses are loaded up with goons from various Gotham gangs. Shortly before the massacre begins, Catwoman and Riddler show up at the gazebo in Malden Park. Then in 337 AD, Emperor Constantine passes and gives it. So he had the Eye of God, which he then gives to the member of the clergy there with him. As Riddler's contact approaches the gazebo, she has a sniper who has Riddler in his sights. The buses then show up in the east parking lot. In the west parking lot, Batman and the help arrive. While Riddler negotiates, his contact gets the news that 3 buses filled with Gotham goons just unloaded at the east parking lot, and the west parking lot, Batman pulled in and got off his bike and is heading towards the gazebo. Catwoman knocks out the Riddler, makes an offer to his contact to sell the eye to her. In 1263, in Constantinople, a local dealer reads it for a small box and tells a story, and gives said box to a man who's shown up to meet with the church. Riddler's contact explains that there wasn't going to be a buy. She was just going to shoot both Riddler and Catwoman. However, before she can shoot Catwoman, Batman tackles her. As the massacre begins in earnest, Catwoman fights the help and drops the box with the eye. While Batman's fighting Riddler's contact, she gives the order to drop the bomb. And realizes that the helicopter that's circling has a rather large explosive that's going to basically destroy the area. Elsewhere in the park, the box containing the eye falls open, and the eye rolls, ends up at the feet of our narrator. Clock King while the massacre goes on around him. And that is where the issue ends. I should have seen it from the beginning that Clock King was narrating the importance of dates and times and whatnot. But yeah. So far, I'm really enjoying this series, this mini. I'm sad that it's going to be ending next month. I want it to keep going. I like it. But anyway, moving on to our next book, we've got Batman Beyond Neo Year, number 4. Where we left off, Batman had gone into the office of the mayor of Gotham, and was then confronted, which was then revealed to be nothing more than a holographic simulation, and he was confronted by the Sword of Gotham. So the issue begins, an old man, a resident of Isley Gardens retirement facilities, is dying, with Gotham explaining that Gotham makes a point of keeping the population the population does not increase or decrease, not even by one person. If a baby is born, someone dies. But Gotham explains that this to Roberto Carrasco of Old Alleytown that his utility is being adjusted. So Batman fights the Sword, thinking about what Bruce would say to him were he's still alive in Terry's ear. He manages to get the Sword to make an exit for Terry. The Sword gives chase, however, and Terry uses almost all the power up in the suit to stop the Sword, and he still ends up stabbing the chest. He uses the explosive batarang, however, and knocks out the Sword, revealing the Sword to currently be Roberto Carrasco. Batman brings Carrasco to a hospital. And limps his way to Detective Boonma's apartment. And she is then taken over by by Gotham and turned into the Sword of Gotham. So her and Batman duke it out. He barely defeats her using the taser she was going to use on him. They both fall they both go out the window, with Boonma landing on top of Terry. He says he's going to take her someplace safe and someplace that's, well, still standing. It's not exactly entirely standing, but parts of it still are. That place being none other than the remains of Stately Wayne Manor. And that is where the issue ends. Definitely enjoying Neo Year. I like the idea that the Sword is basically an extension of the AI. And throughout the issue, Batman is under the belief that it's Lumos who controls the Sword, not until what happens until it takes over Boonma, who has no Lumos devices. So clearly, it's Gotham. And moving on to our last book, we've got Black Adam, The Justice Society Files, Hawkman. So, this just kind of establishes Hawkman as will be in the upcoming Black Adam movie. On a fun note, he gets to go up against Gentleman Ghost, but at a museum exhibit, they find a symbol made of eternium in the form of a lightning bolt. But Beast is referred to as the champion, and thief by the name of James Craddock steals the champion, and Hawkman gives chase. Apparently, Craddock's working for Intergang, however. During the chase, however, Craddock is killed, and the champion is broken. But Craddock is then approached by some mystical entities, and the shards seem to be reflecting of the champion seem to be reflecting Craddock's ghost. Craddock then attacks, and Hawkman is forced into a mental simulation with Craddock taking on the form of taking on the moniker Gentleman Ghost. But it appears that Hawkman has been captured, and as has Dr. Fate, who takes out the helm of Naboo, revealing himself to be, well, dead. But Hawkman manages to get loose and takes down Gentleman Ghost with one of the shards of the champion, returning Carter to reality. And Hawkman realizes that something's coming. The story will be continued in the Justice Society Files Cyclone next month. We also get a backup story called Lost and Found, which focuses on Teth Adam before he became Black Adam, trying to get something for the mother of his child. But a bit of a riot occurs, and then the president, Kondak, Adriana Tomez and her brother are entering a club, waiting in line to enter a club, and Adriana gets a phone call. She heads to the docks, breaking in, finding a security guard pushed into a wall. She deals with some intergang operatives, taking them down promptly. And then manages to escape with a relic, presumably also made of eternium, of a bird. That is where the issue ends. I would say the bit with Adriana likely has to do with Adriana Tomaz having been Isis in the comics, Black Adam's wife. But this was all right. I mean, to be fair, I'm not super hyped about the Black Adam movie. It looks okay. I'll probably go see it at some point. But yeah. Anyway, that's going to do it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying, live long and rock hard.